On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
You gonna have to stop making excuses for people so that they can own their situation and propel themselves forward. It's a toxic culture. All you're doing is repeating the same thing, and it's gonna happen to the next generation and the next generation, and nobody is gonna get out of the rut because everybody is so focused on what they grandparents had. I know people that claim racism that has never seen an ounce of racism in their life perpetuated against them. That's the honest to God truth. But they'll blame the fact that their grandmother went through racism. They'll blame the fact that their grandmother went through it. But their grandmother was 10 times more successful as a result of what she went through because she used that to propel herself forward. There's people that ain't never experienced it in their life, and they already laying in bed talking about they ain't never gonna get a job because the man is against them and they ain't even applying.
I want to kind of focus upon the media. So how often do people hear things and they run with it? How often do we assume and speculate? It reminds me
all the time.
Yeah. It reminds me of like the Antons when they say he's selfish, like the Realists when they say he's simping, the K's when they say she's weird because she has these roaches.
Oh no, K is weird. Let's be clear.
1,000%. I'm simping.
You know, the Courtneys. Like, okay, let me finish, you guys. Like the Courtneys, when they say, she's a pick me and saying that she's only saying what the guys are saying, and then JR, it's his show, but he never says nothing. These are the things that play out when it comes to the media. So, as I was listening to Kwame, and I'm gonna quote it, but I'm not gonna quote it to a T because there's a lot of curse words in between. But he said they get paid to talk negative about black people. Who told you Kanye was crazy? Them punks. A man with $6 billion is crazy? No. You're not going to like everything he says. You wouldn't like everything Albert Einstein says, and he is known as a great man. But you want Kanye West to die as a crazy man. All they do is disrespect our black men. Name how many times they dragged Bill Gates for having a side piece. I haven't heard nothing yet, but they was chasing MJ around in the locker rooms trying to see what girls MJ was with. Y'all don't understand what y'all doing. It's imagery. They're controlling the mind with images. First they tell you I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm crazy. I was around the people that got murdered and so forth. The question I want to ask is, do you feel the media outlets speak down on the black man? I'm gonna start with you, Ariel. And when I say media outlets, he was speaking more in context with like First Take, with Stephen A. Jackson, the Jamels, with ESPN, with Chris Broussard, all the smoke. Like, do you feel us as when we in these spaces, these media spaces, that we speak down upon each other? Because that's what he's insinuating when it comes to like all the smoke. Like he's saying that they putting all this focus on him only to bring him down. They want to put all this negative energy in the air about him. And ultimately that's his issue with them. So do you feel as though the media outlets speak down on the black man?
Wow. You just asked a deeply philosophical question. I'm sitting here thinking how to answer it. So essentially what you're asking is, what does society consume is what you're asking in a sense. I think black pain sells. I think people are obsessed with it. They're obsessed with our brokenness as people. And it's sensationalized so often that we're used to watching slave movies. Like, why is that such a normal thing that we have to consume? Every year, there's a new movie that comes out about black pain. So the media, of course, has a hand in repeating these things over and over again that aren't always helpful. You should be informed, but it's not always helpful to repeat certain things. And then on top of that, we have a society that is, our society is very left brain in the sense that we think we know what we know 100% of the time. That's what the left side of your brain is for, to grasp concepts and to act on the concepts that they already know, instead of being right brained, where it's I want to understand, right? So when somebody says something, when a person of color says something, when anybody says something, instead of understanding somebody, we act out of, no, I already know that to be true. And we instinctually run with things, as you're saying. So when somebody says things, instead of evaluating how to respond, how I can change my mindset and adapt, we take what we already think we know to be true and light fires with it. And many times people run with what's false and cause a whole bunch of trouble before checking to see, like, is this actually true? And is this fruitful? And is this good? Is this going to cause harm to somebody? But that's the society we live in. It's toxic in many ways.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think you touched on something important. People seek like this, they have this confirmation bias where, oh, I think you're this way, so I'm only going to look for information that proves that. And they just run with it literally forever. Like you can do one thing and they're going to just think that thing forever and find anything they can to like back it up. So like in terms of JR's question, like, what did you say? Can you repeat that?
Do you feel the media outlets speak down on the Black man?
Yes. So the reason that I feel like the media outlets definitely speak down on Black men is because that's the narrative that they want to perpetuate. So when you want that to be the thing that people consume, like Ariel was saying, you want that to be the image that pops in your head. If you say Black man, it's just something negative. They're going to perpetuate this, and it absolutely affects us negatively. And then we have the whole like life imitating art situation where people who might not have even been thinking that way are sucked into the media storm of ideas and whatnot about what it means to be a Black man. And it just self-perpetuates. So I feel like we all just have to be really careful about that because it can be really detrimental to people within our communities and to our communities at large.
That's not true.
What's not true? What's not true?
Because you think you're selling this narrative like, oh, they're trying to create an image of the Black man. Well, I can give you a narrative to say that, well, all of the tabloids have been focused for decades on making money on the negativity that comes along with white people.
But wait,
Angelinas, all of the stuff.
Yes.
Hold on. And the thing that I know is that negativity sells no matter who you are. So when you're talking about the fact that the media is not state-ran funded entities, they are profit generating conglomerates, and that they have to answer to shareholders. And it's similar to the NBA. It's similar to rap music. Like if we want to take that narrative, then we can have that same narrative when it comes to the music that we listen to and the people that we support. Because ultimately, when you talk about the media and you talk about public companies in general, you're saying you have to acknowledge the fact that they can only sell what the audience is willing to embrace. And I know for a fact that when we talk about the positive stuff, it does not get anywhere near as many views. And me and JR have this conversation all the time from our audience, and the overwhelming majority of our audience look like us. They do not support us when we talk about the positive things. But when we highlight the things that may be toxic, but then we try to put in some learned lessons to go along with it, then they jump all over it as though that's the thing that we want to celebrate. And so when you have these artists, same with rap music, when they put out positive music, you don't celebrate the Lupe Fiascos. You don't celebrate those type of artists. They celebrate and champion the futures. They celebrate and champion the people that always highlight all of the drugs that they pouring into the, whatever you want to talk about. But the media largely is just a reflection of the audience that they serve, because it ultimately all comes back to profitability, and nobody cares about who buys it or why you buy it. The only thing that matters is that you buy it. So I don't think that there's a narrative that comes along that says, well, we have to paint Black people this way, because there's a large narrative to say we have to paint all people that may be a specific type of way in order to generate the certain amount of profits that come along with it.
But wait,
yeah, I mean,
wait. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me push back a little bit, Anton, and respectfully, why is it that we're the only ethnicity where that has to happen? Because we don't see that.
We are not the only ethnicity. I just gave you an example of how tabloids spent decades making money off of the toxicity they came along with. The royal crown and white people.
One at a time.
Is the crown under attack now that you have Prince Harry or whatever like that? And he got they're making money. They made $1 trillion off of Princess Diana.
No.
Like, it's not that image per se.
We're not talking about spin. We're not. Wait. Hold on, Kay. I'm sorry, real quick. We're not talking about spin, because the one thing that intrigues me from my time in Atlanta, I knew cats and I ran with cats that were literally like button pushers of this is what we're promoting. Again, my time in Atlanta, the way I earned my name was because of where I'm from, but I was heavy in the streets in Atlanta in terms of street team, right? So what you're saying is what I would often hear is this is what the people want. The era that I came up in, you had Trap Call Quest and you had 2 Live Crew, you had NWA and you had Public Enemy.
But let me tell you something though. But here's the difference. If you look at Trap Called Quest and you look at Public Enemy and the amount of money that they generated versus their counterparts is
they're still generating money to this day.
Yeah, I
mean, let me no, it's not the same, bro. It's not. I'm telling you, it's nowhere near the same. If you telling me that the most positive acts can even remotely compare to the most negative acts, you know that's not true. You know it's not even close to being true.
Well, let me say this to you, Rilla. Let me speak for a second, because I think what's important that we're also missing is that the people that are creating this image of the Black person being negative is Black people. So we're missing that. The Love and Hip Hop, who creates that? Mona Scott, Black. On Network. Hold on. On Network, when they have the have and have nots and they cheating on each other, who is creating that? That's Oprah Network. It's the Black people creating these narratives of the negativity of Black folks. And it's because Black folks are feeding into it and wanting to watch it.
No.
We're missing out on that.
What's happening?
It's not the white man.
Wait. What's happening, Court, with all due respect, is what's being green lighted. And so when you look at real talk, what's being green lighted. And
Black people create culture. We are the influencer. We influence globally.
See, but and you know what? And I completely agree that Black people do create culture. It's just that there's this other variable where Black people are able to
I'm sorry, Kate. We do not control. Listen, when you go to the Def Jams, who was responsible ultimately? Lear Cohen, somebody who did not look like us. Right?
But no, that's not true. The original architect and the person that was responsible was Russell Simmons, bro.
This is the issue.
Architect and what came through Russell Simmons. Hold on, real quick, Kay.
LL Cool J.
Okay, keep going.
What do you mean? Every single person that came on the Def Jam.
When we get to 1998, we're gonna see a difference.
Listen, fam. What it comes back down to is that if we're not consuming this stuff, then there is no availability or platform. No. Because at some point you can't. No, bro. I'm never gonna. That's right.
Guys, wait.
I'm never gonna.
One at a time, y'all. One at a time. We can't hear.
I'm never gonna place my fate.
Wait.
What it is that I do in somebody else's hands, bro.
I got you. I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm gonna chill. I promise you, bro. Are you gonna tell me that the narrative of who bought rap music in the suburbs in the 90s didn't propel or change what was being sold?
What does that have to do with anything?
All right.
It has to do with a lot.
As a businessman,
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Wait. Answer mine first. Are you saying that who bought rap music in the 90s, that narrative of the suburban white kid buying rap music in the 90s didn't change the trajectory of what we heard on the airwaves. Yes,
I don't think so.
You don't think
most of the hip hop is
no
suburban white people.
Hold on, go ahead.
It is now.
Okay, but wait.
Hold on. We'll let Kay talk. Go ahead, Kay.
So this is the thing. Going back, I mean, we got, really far, kind of what we were first talking about, but going back to that, because I had a point that I was going to make about the imagery of Black men in the media, on the news, even if we talk about it. Most of it is crime and sports. That's not a coincidence. That's real. It's like, you can Google it. It's a real thing. Most of the time, Black men are portrayed, it's crime and sports. So that's a big deal. And then, like, kind of going into what we're talking about right now, most of the consumers of hip hop music are suburban white people. And the thing is, I definitely think that we, it's in our hands in a way, like Courtney was saying.
Is it portrayed or is it reported? Because you can't you can't report on something that doesn't exist.
Hold on.
Like Courtney was saying, we create that culture, but it ends up being a situation where people are perpetuating this thing, and it's not us that are the main consumers, but we turn around and blame each other for being the main consumers. Black people are not the main consumers of these things. And then on top of that, there's not a lot of generational wealth within the Black community. Like, I mean, people was just getting free recently. So, like, if you find a kid in the hood, I'm just talking. If you find a kid in the hood that can rap a little bit, and you're this music exec, and you're like, come on, I'm gonna give you $1 million deal, who's gonna say no? They can say rap about this or that or whatever. Who's gonna say no? And that is the thing.
But the person that's given $1 million deal is not given $1 million deal because they want to perpetuate a stereotype. They're given $1 million deal because they know that the return on their money based off of the consumers is going to be great. It's all about money. It has nothing to do with
who is that. Goes back to what Ariel was saying, because she was saying that there's this trauma.
Where you at, Anton? Based off of Ice Web Vezo, based off the Deja Loaf versus a Big Sean, why is it that Big Sean is the only one that comes through and didn't open the door for a ton of other Big Seans? Why do we have the Iceware Vezos and the Deja Lows that come through, or the Tricks that come through and salute the Trick?
What do you mean? Those people are not backed by anybody. Every last one of those people
Iceware Vezo actually put Deja Loaf is definitely back.
I swear Vezo came up on his own grind. He put his own money up. He's just now starting to get funding from behind him. Yes, he is, bro. Trust me. I know for a fact.
This is the thing. In a perfect world, all Black people would just reject all of these things and be like, you know what? We're not doing it. In a perfect world. But considering that people need money, people trying to pay their bills, whatever the case, there's this quote unquote American dream situation. People want to make it out the hood, blah, blah, blah. If somebody comes up and offers you money to do something, a lot of people are going to do it, especially these young artists that they target.
So it always comes back to somebody else's fault instead of any.
No, it's not.
I've never heard you say anything about us having to take responsibility or ownership of our own situation. I never hear people say, you know what, fam,
Anton,
I need to clean up my own backyard. I need to take care of my own kids. I need to watch what I'm consuming. I don't have to listen to that music. When I made a video that said that I was giving up rap music completely, I got all of the pushback from the people that look like me and all of the support from people that don't look like me. When I make a video that say, yo, this is how you go about doing things, and this is how you build your business. Let me show you how to go through the permit process. Let me show you how to get a micro lender. Let me show you how to do this and do that. Hold on. When I give all of that game, the people that reject it are the people that look like me, and the people that embrace it are the people that don't look like me. So the information in the game is out there. I've given web development tutorials. I've given overwhelmingly more positive content than addressing anything relative to being negative. But the things that is, no, don't stop me. The things that are embraced, the things that are embraced from our community, because this information is free for everybody. YouTube makes things, they recommend things based off of the things that you like and look at and listen to. That's the algorithm. It's not based off of let's push this negativity. People do not embrace other people that is getting to it, that is putting out positivity, that is embracing, that is doing the positive things for our community. And so I don't want to hear nothing from nobody, because I actually live it. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody that do not take ownership and responsibility for their own situation, because it's not nobody else's fault, especially as a grown man. It's your fault. Deal with it. Deal with it. Okay. And I don't have no sympathy for these people. I give too much game and I give too much help, and I see people turn their back and decide to do the negative thing, even when I incentivize it for them to do the right thing. So I don't want to hear none of that at all.
People can take ownership and responsibility. I am with that aspect, but like you just said a few minutes ago, it's about supply and demand. Black people are not the biggest consumers of hip hop. We're not, even though we're the face of it, even though, like Courtney said, we are absolutely in control of the culture, all of that. But at the end of the day, we are not the biggest consumers of that. We're just not. I mean, and that's factual. You're on mute. But I mean, you can't look at it in this singular type of way. You have to look at it on a broader level. There's a lot of things going on at the same time. That's why I agree with a little bit of what everybody was saying, because Ariel was saying, like, there's this trauma porn situation. People just want it. People are curious, like, ooh, Black people doing this and that, and they buy into it. And then Black people that are being signed up for these deals or whatever are just trying to get paid, because there's not this generational wealth. There's not this infrastructure where they can be like, no, I'm turning down this $500,000 deal. Like, come on. How many people are going to turn down $500,000 and be like, no, I'm going to stand up for what I like? We're not in the position right now to do that. And I feel like people keep leaving that out. Like, it's just so easy. I mean, Anton, it might be easy for you. You know, you've gained a lot of success and all this stuff, but everyone is not in your exact same position. Everyone didn't grow up like you.
Hey, how many rappers out of Atlanta that perpetuate the thug, gangster, dope dealing lifestyle that we know for a fact? Where you're from in Atlanta, there's no big weight moving since Big Meech went away, right? How many of them cats signed multi-million-dollar deals because this is what's selling? It's to the point now where you ain't even gotta tell a kid or an aspiring rapper, hey, go in the studio and make a record, right? Are they gonna go make the J. Cole record, or are they gonna make the Migos record? They're not even making the Drake record. They're gonna go and make the Migos record. They automatically like are signed up for that, and that's where we are.
This is my final point, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Whoever can say, y'all can say whatever y'all want after this.
We're gonna go to Anton.
This is my final point.
And we're gonna have one person speaking. We're gonna move on to
this is the only point that I want to make based off of what you guys are saying. Y'all not helping people with this narrative. You not helping nobody by making excuses and not forcing people to take ownership and accountability and responsibility for their own. Stop. Let me just finish 1 second.
Nah, you just said it was.
You're not helping anybody. All right, y'all got it. Go ahead, do your thing. Because I know this makes it uncomfortable, and this completely negates everything that y'all want to try to do as far as continuing to acknowledge and making people feel good about themselves and pandering to people and making them feel like rah, okay, good, black, everything. That's cool. But the real way in which you help people is by being honest and by being real and making them hold themselves accountability, because the only way that you get to progress is by making people uncomfortable. That's the honest to God truth. When you keep on trying to let people live on a crutch And I don't care how much truth or whatever it is that you want to say. Ultimately, the only thing that I care about is the results. So when I can propel somebody to get out of their situation, stop blaming everybody else, because whether or not somebody did something to you is not relevant when it comes to what you need to do in getting yourself out of the situation. This narrative that you guys continue to support, and I see it all across the internet, is not helping one person transition, gain any insight, and move in any direction that's going to propel them to be more successful than their current circumstance and situation. You got to force people out of their comfort zone, because I coach people every single day and I get them out of that situation. And you know it's true. I get them out of the space of stop being a victim and starting to take control of their situation by holding themselves accountable, because it's not entirely everybody else's fault. At some point, you're going to have to say, okay, this happened to me, but I'm not going to keep sitting on the floor and crying about it. I got to get up, put my big boy pants on, because I don't want to do this to my son. You're going to have to stop making excuses for people so that they can own their situation and propel themselves forward. It's a toxic culture. All you're doing is repeating the same thing, and it's going to happen to the next generation and the next generation, and nobody is going to get out of the rut because everybody is so focused on what they grandparents had. I know people that claim racism that has never seen an ounce of racism in their life perpetuated against them. That's the honest to God truth. But they'll blame the fact that their grandmother went through racism. They'll blame the fact that their grandmother went through it. But their grandmother was 10 times more successful as a result of what she went through, because she used that to propel herself forward. There's people that ain't never experienced it in their life, and they already laying in bed talking about they ain't never gonna get a job because the man is against them, and they ain't even applying. It's stupid.
It's not about
stupid. I'm done. I'm done.
Well, I remember this. Yes. I remember Uncut, BET Uncut, where it was all kind of booty shaking on the dance floor, all kind of wild stuff, right?
Yes.
However, there was Jill Scott and there was women that went to Spelman that said, we are not going to perpetuate women being objectified as sexual objects. So we looked, it was the Black people that held Black people accountable, and at the end of the day got it taken off. So again, when we talk about accountability, we got to be accountable for how we look. Even if you're talking about, well, it's money and we broke, that's an excuse to still perpetuate what we're looking at as a community. Black folks have to look at ourselves and say, no, I'm not going to take this. No, I'm not going to support this, because it has my Black man, my Black woman looking wild. It has us looking like we're desperate. It has us looking like we're not smart. So that's when I look at Uncut, this makes me think of this conversation, because it's like, no, Black folks looked at ourselves and we're better than this.
You 1,000.
And so we stopped it.
Multiple things definitely need to be happening kind of at the same time, right? I agree with you, Courtney. We gotta be like, you know what? Like, we cannot continue to support things that have us painted in this negative light. At the same time, though, like, we don't own distribution. Those distribution companies want to make money. Like Anton was saying earlier, we are not the biggest consumers. We know that the biggest consumers, going back to what Ariel was saying earlier, there's this whole trauma infatuation as it relates to Black people. And that's white people, Black people. People love to see like a struggling Black person, or hear about a story of, oh my goodness, I was, my parents were on drugs and I was in a gang. They love to hear that. And the fact that there's a market for it, even if every Black person stopped listening, there would still be a huge market, because the biggest consumers of that type of thing are not Black people. It's white people in the suburbs. And this is not my opinion. So from there, even though that, knowing this, there are people who you can exploit. And I get it. Like, yeah, we hope everybody has this family structure where they're like, you know what, I'm just going to turn down this money. It goes against my morals. That would be ideal. That would be ideal. But at the end of the day, it's just not reality. If somebody is broke and they've been rapping in there,
we got to go to the next topic after this.
Look at Tyler Perry.
I just really wanted to
Tyler Perry
clarify.
All right, we're gonna go there.
Yeah, Tyler Perry is definitely an exception for sure.
He owns it, and he perpetuates negativity on Black men.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But he probably wouldn't have got the deals he got if his movies would have been wholesome, Black, just, you know, positive.
The number one consumers are Black women.
All right, we're gonna go to Ariel. Final thoughts, and move on to the next topic.
I just want
to
clarify. Yeah, just briefly clarify my viewpoint. So what I was doing was evaluating what is out there. So I just want to put that out there and make that known. So I'm evaluating how, you know, Black people are consumed in the media, but I am 100% in agreement with what Anton was just saying. Like, that is how I live my life, because I recognize as Black people, nobody cares. Like, realistic, nobody cares what trauma, like, they pretend to care. And maybe that's, you know, not something that people want to swallow, but they pretend to care and they pretend to be on your side. But the reality of it is that you have your family, you have the people that you need to pull up. So for me to sit there and say, woe is me, and not take responsibility and say, I'm going to get myself out of this, I'm going to learn the system instead of blaming the system and beat it, I think is doing us a disservice. And it's something that we've been living in for way too long. So I just wanted to clarify that. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I just want to make sure that was understood as well.